What it was like to be hunted in the Middle Ages. You wake before dawn. There is no fire, no food, no safety. Yesterday you had a home, a name, protection under the law. Today, you have none of it. You have been declared an outlaw, and now anyone can hunt you. Not just soldiers, not just officials, anyone. Your neighbors, your friends, even your family. In the Middle Ages, to be hunted was not just a danger, it was a complete erasure of your place in the world. Today, we step into that reality and uncover what it was like to live as a hunted outlaw, where survival depended on silence, speed, and constant fear. Section 1. Declared outside the law. Outlawry was not always about violent crime. You could become an outlaw for failing to appear in court, for unpaid debts, for defying authority. Once declared, you were no longer protected by the law. In fact, the law no longer recognized you as a person in the same way. You were described as being outside the king's peace. That phrase mattered, because the king's peace was what kept order. It was what made violence illegal. It was what made society function. Without it, there were no consequences for harming you. Anyone could kill you, and they would face no punishment. You were no longer a citizen. You were a target. Section 2. The immediate collapse of your life. Outlawry was not gradual, it was instant. Your property could be seized, your home taken, your possessions redistributed or destroyed. Your family might be questioned, pressured, or punished for helping you. Even if they wanted to protect you, doing so could put them at risk. So they had to make a choice, protect you or protect themselves. Many chose survival, which meant you were alone. The social fabric that once held your life together did not weaken, it disappeared. Section 3. Hunted by everyone. Being hunted in the Middle Ages was different from modern pursuit. There were no organized police forces tracking you with precision. But that made things worse, not better. Because everyone became the system, villagers were expected to report strangers. Roads were watched. Travel was controlled through familiarity. You could not simply blend in. People knew each other. They recognized faces. They noticed outsiders immediately. If someone suspected you, they had reason to act. And they had incentive. Capturing or killing an outlaw could bring rewards, favor, or simply remove a perceived threat. You were not hiding from a single authority. You were hiding from society itself. Section 4. Where could you go? You had only a few options. Forests were the most common refuge. They offered cover, distance, and the chance to avoid direct contact. But forests were not empty. They were cold, wet, difficult to navigate. Food was uncertain. Shelter was temporary. You might survive by hunting small animals, gathering roots, or stealing when possible, but every risk increased your exposure. Roads were dangerous. Towns were worse. Cities had walls, guards, and controlled entry points. You could not simply walk in without being questioned. And even if you did, survival required interaction. Food, shelter, work. Every conversation was a risk. Every face another chance to be recognized. Section 5. The physical toll of survival. Survival was not just about avoiding capture. It was about enduring conditions that slowly broke the body. Sleep became irregular. You could not risk staying in one place for long. Food was inconsistent. Hunger became constant. Exposure to weather wore you down. Cold, rain, and illness became constant threats. Injury was even worse. A simple cut could become fatal without treatment. A broken limb meant immobility, and immobility meant death. You were not just being hunted by people, you were being worn down by the world itself. Section 6. The psychological weight. The physical danger was only part of the experience. The psychological strain was constant. Every sound mattered. Every movement required caution. You learned to distrust everything. A distant voice, a snapping branch, a figure on the road. Was it nothing, or was it the end? Isolation made it worse. Humans are not meant to live alone under constant threat. Without conversation, without trust, without stability, the mind begins to change. Paranoia becomes survival, but it also becomes a burden. Section 7. Social death before physical death. Outlawry was not just about being hunted, it was about being erased. Your identity as a member of society was gone. You could not own property. You could not testify in court. You could not seek protection. Even if you survived for months or years, you were still outside everything that made life stable. In many ways, you were already dead to the world that once knew you. That is what made outlawry so powerful as a punishment. It did not just threaten your life. It removed your place in society entirely. Section 8. Could you ever return? In rare cases, outlawry could be reversed. A pardon might be granted. A fine might be paid. A political shift might change your status. But these were exceptions. For most, outlawry was final. The longer you survived, the harder it became to return. Your absence made reintegration difficult. Your reputation made it dangerous. And even if you were forgiven, trust was not easily restored. You might return alive, but never as the same person. Conclusion: a life without protection. To be hunted in the Middle Ages was not a chase scene. It was a slow collapse. You lost your protection, your community, your identity, and your future. You became someone the law no longer defended. And in a world built on law, that meant everything. If you enjoy exploring the realities behind medieval life, consider liking the video and subscribing to TorchLit History. Because the Middle Ages were not just defined by kings and battles, they were defined by what happened when the system turned against you, and how long you could survive when it did.